baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here. 'Cause we been
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here.
Black versus the Board of Education.
'Cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here. 'Cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know, and we know, and we go, so you do what you know.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
Thank you, Miss Keela. You know, because we missing our air horn, and I'm so glad my air horn is sitting next to me. Hello, and welcome to another Monday. We are Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, and you know what? I almost didn't come today. I was gonna give us the day off because we tired. And before I tell you what we was doing all weekend, we're gonna go ahead and pull up the other crew members, and we're gonna go through some quick introductions, and then we're gonna get started with the discussion. Today's episode is called Let's Talk About It. We got a lot to talk about because there are a lot of habitual steppers in the building. Decided to act up while I was on the plane, and I can't wait to get into it because I'm a little ticked off. And that's not, it's nothing new. But I'm a little ticked off. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with introductions. I'm going to go to Miss Quinessa because you're first on my screen. Hey.
Hello, I'm Quinessa Stibbins Pierce because I got married.
Oh, dang.
And I'm excited to be back.
Okay. Sherman. Hey, welcome back.
It's your boy Sherm, usually behind the camera.
You've been promoted. That's okay. We need more of the male vibe in here. The ladies be heavy. We be heavy in here, getting to it, but it's all good. Miss Keela, hey girl, hey.
Hey, it's your girl Keela. Doing good. It's Monday, you know?
It is Monday.
The vibes.
The heck of a Monday it started out to be. Hey, Adrian.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Adrian.
You welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
We've been busy all day, huh?
We have.
I'm sick of him. Miss Anaya, hey girl, hey.
Hey. Oh, my name is Anaya, and I'm currently a freshman at Howard University.
Fantastic. And the baby of the bunch. Hey, girl.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I am a senior in high school.
And Melissa is holding out because she is going to actually wait to decision day to tell us what college she is going to go to. And I cannot wait because I think I've been looking forward to this day for at least 3-4 years. And so I'm hoping that she will give me grace and tell me first before she tell all the rest of y'all. I'm just putting it out there to put a little pressure on her. But it's all good. So before we get our chance to send our high schoolers off to college, y'all, there are things that are starting to happen or continuing to happen on our school campuses. And I know I've sent a couple of stories in the chat, but I want to talk about one first that happened on last Tuesday. During my layover in Houston, Texas, I received a barrage of phone calls, and apparently there was a 9-year-old child who was choked up by a paraprofessional on a campus here in Elk Grove, California. Now, you know, Elk Grove is number 1 in the state for disproportionate discipline of Black children. I continue to say this, and pretty soon y'all gonna be saying it too in every conversation, because until they get it through their heads, we have a problem. Not we as in us at this table, but them as in they, as in Elk Grove Unified School District, when it comes to making sure all children are actually treated with dignity and respect. We continue to see instances like this one that are just popping up. So I know I was in Houston. I happened to call into our office here in Sacramento or in Elk Grove, and Sherman and Lania were here.
Yeah.
And I had to send them in my place because I could not get to the campus or to the district office. So tell me, I know probably I put y'all on the spot and I'm sorry for that, but I'm not sorry. So tell us kind of, bring us up to speed. What happened as you guys got to the district office? And we'll get into the discussion, ladies and gentlemen.
You want me to just get to the story?
Yeah, I want to know, y'all left here and you showed up at the district office. What happened?
So when we first got to the district office, we were asking about the parents. that just came in. We said she had pajamas or whatever, how we described her. They act like they didn't know what we were talking about. So I don't know who Lania made a phone call to, but she made a phone call. And then we were able to give out more information. They said, oh, they're in the HR. Oh, probably check the HR room. So we went to the HR. We said, we're here with Black Youth Leadership Project. They was like, that's all you had to say. Let us in the office.
Put some respect on it, but go ahead.
And then once we went to the office, the parent was kind of like just thanking us for being there, but she was like mad, rightfully so.
And pause. So you all hear that your 9-year-old baby cousin, let's just say your little baby cousin, your 9-year-old baby cousin is on campus, and he has had some adult put their hands on him, and not just put their hands on him, but put their hands on his neck. And I would show the pictures, but I did not get permission to do that, so I would not. I'm not going to do that. But what do you do, Keela? I mean, somebody put their hands on your baby.
Oh, I'm pulling up.
And are you worried about how you sound, look?
No, not at all. Like,
what you pulling up for?
Because, like, for one, what are you doing? Second, that's just crazy how you think that you have the audacity to touch somebody, let alone a 9-year-old, a 3rd grader.
Yeah.
Like, that is nuts to even say, like, come out my mouth.
Melissa, somebody put their hands on your baby. What say you?
I'm not caring how I look because they didn't care how they looked when they were doing it. Like there's no rules anymore at this point. It makes no sense.
No rules. Miss Anaya, your thoughts?
I agree with what they both said. I'm showing up immediately. Yeah.
Okay. Adrian, now you the coolest, you're able to keep your emotions in check most of the time. So you get a phone call that somebody has put their hands on your 9-year-old. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
I'd assume I'll be very angry and get to the school as fast as I can. Because from what I heard, he had marks on his neck too. So if you're putting your hands on my child to the point where you're leaving marks, then I'm showing up with the police as well.
Okay. Miss Quinessa.
I don't know. I would be a mess. I would be an uncontrollable mess.
And that's understandable.
I agree.
That's understandable, right? Because so many times we send our children into these environments, and for whatever reason, we believe that they are supposed to be safe. When in effect, the school system environment, especially here in Elk Grove, has shown to be very, very hostile towards our children. And when I got the phone call, my first thing is always to think before I respond. So I want all the information before I make even any type of statement. I want to know exactly what happened. I want to know who's involved. I want to know where they were. I want their correct title. I want to know who saw it, right? What was happening? Because my understanding is this young fella was out there and he was involved in some sort of game with another kid. I have a problem when you have a Black child and another child involved in an incident and only the Black child is focused on and grabbed up, snatched up. But I'm gonna let you keep going. So you guys are at the district office. You tell them you're with Black Youth Leadership Project. They let you into the room, I assume.
Yeah.
Because I heard Lania was like, we need to get in there now.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, we
Good
need to get in
girl.
the office. Then she told us, she told them that we're Black Youth Leadership Project. They let us in. There was really no problems there. And then once we got in the room, the mom had thanked us for being there, and then she started telling her story. I think I don't really know her position, but I think she was part of HR because we got their cards and stuff. But I think she was part of the HR. She was pretty cool. I think the cop was a little passive aggressive for me.
Okay. When you say passive aggressive, what are we talking about?
Just like you need to calm down, or you don't need to be talking like that kind of thing. And it's like, wait, what? Like,
so he was basically saying she needed to be more respectful.
Yeah.
He was checking her tone. He was tone policing her.
I would say so.
Okay.
But it was just like, because my brother is 10 years old, so it's just like, if somebody snatched up my little brother like that, then it's like, I'm not going to be calm about it. And how can you be calm about it?
But was the adult calm when he did it?
And the thing too about this story is that it wasn't even like his initial reaction wasn't to grab the kid's neck. Like first he grabbed the shoulder from, this is the kid's story. He said the teacher or whatever grabbed my shoulder. I like shrugged him off, and then he grabbed it tighter, and then like he shrugged it off again, and then he decided to grab his neck for like a couple minutes.
Minutes?
Yeah, like 2-3 minutes.
I mean, but he's a baby, right? And sometimes it may seem longer, but the fact that he grabbed him at all is a problem. And I don't care how long.
Twice.
That sounded like 3 times. Shoulder, shrug, shoulder, then neck.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm gonna ask y'all this because I have my own theories. What do you think that adult was trying to communicate when he decided to put his hands on him?
I'm in control.
Yeah.
Well, according to mom,
the
adult was trying to get the kid to the office. And so he had his hand on his neck to push him to the office. So I think he must have been just like not getting what he wanted out of the student and was fed up at that point. But it doesn't excuse any behavior.
Melissa, what do you think? What do you think he's trying to communicate?
It had to be power, and kind of a combination of what Quinessa was saying as well. Like if he's not getting what he wants out of the situation, the adult to the student is exerting power and showing him like, well, you don't really have a choice. You have to say, and then got physical, which is unacceptable.
I think he took it personal when he shrugged his shoulder off of him. But it's like, what do you expect a person to do?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I ain't never snatched up a kid who shrugged on me. I'm be honest, right? But I would think that I have built a relationship with a kid before I decided to snatch him up.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like I was gonna say, clearly the student isn't responding to you the way you would like them to. So get an adult that they trust to go get him to the office. Why are you automatically trying to force yourself on somebody? But it's because took it personal. Okay, so like I'm gonna show you what I'm really about then.
Yeah.
Anaya, thoughts?
I completely agree. And I think it just frustrates me because if you're going to work with kids and you're going to work in education, you need to have patience. You're dealing with children, or not, I don't want to say dealing with, but you're working with children. You need to have a certain level of patience to be able to effectively communicate with them. If you tell them to do something, like you guys said, build a relationship. You just have to. A lot of these people, they don't have patience. They're not fit to be working in these schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Anaya said kind of hit the nail on the coffin. That's
Go
right.
ahead. I thought you was gonna say hit the nail on the head, but I'll take coffin.
I was debating between coffin and another word. I didn't know. But yeah, I feel like us all working at schools, we've been in situations where kids didn't listen to us when we try to exert authority over them. But patience is required in order, especially when you're working with kids, because no matter how many times you tell them, sometimes you're just not going to listen. And grabbing them by the neck and showing them how powerless they are to you is not the right way to do it.
Yeah, and I think it goes a little deeper than that. I think there are some people who think that they have ultimate control over Black bodies. I think that there are some people out here in the world that believe the best way to get compliance is to act like you're part of law enforcement. And sometimes when you have the complexion for protection, you think that you are a de facto law enforcement person. And you think that what you say matters and carries more weight. To me, there is no excuse for any adult to put their hand around the neck of a child. If a parent would have done that, they would have called CPS immediately. So why is it that we have different rules for people that we entrust to keep our children safe during the school day?
Or if the kid would have punched the teacher or the yard duty, it would have been a complete
48-9-15. That's what would have been on the discipline form, and he would have been put up for expulsion because that's an expellable offense. Let's be clear. So I don't get this whole thing, and we're gonna have to get the mom on eventually, but I didn't want to bring her on right now because I want to make sure that she has time to process the things that her baby has been through. And sometimes when your babies go through stuff, you hyper emotional, and that's okay. We get the benefit of not being emotional, and we're gonna stick to the facts, and we will be at the next school board meeting. Because I want to make sure they understand we ain't went nowhere just because they ain't seen us in a while.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things going on around us, and sometimes other school districts demand our attention, but now they have mine, right? And so I get really ticked off, y'all, because I think that they would not handle anybody else's children this way. So why are they doing it why are they so comfortable to do it to our children? Have you thought about that, Melissa? Why are they so comfortable?
I honestly don't. There can be so many different reasons because I feel like the situations can differ. But I feel like they're so comfortable because sometimes we don't have the resources to be able to go after the people who do this to our kids.
Talk to them.
We sometimes don't have the ability to say, well, my family has a lawyer and I can sue this person for doing this to my kid. So they have, like you said, the complexion for protection because we may not have the resources to be able to go after them to provide the consequences that the justice system is not providing for us.
Child, you about to get the first offering today. I'm gonna cash app you after this show. Hold on. What do you think?
I just think it's crazy that they're just so untouchable. I'm getting emotional. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just I just can't the fact that anybody can think they're just so untouchable. Because what Melissa was saying, some people don't have resources or have the time. Oh, I have to work, but okay, I can't take off all this time to deal with this, but that's what your child needs. But you don't know what this person's situation is. They could be a single parent and this is a lot on them. So it's just a lot of factors. So the fact that people know those situations and they take advantage, that is really sad.
Yeah. And I see the homie from Lafayette is in the chat. Shout out to Brian LeBlanc. He thought that was funny that me passing around that offering plate. You definitely go get the cash app after this because I just got a cosign. And so, thoughts, Sherman? Because I'm trying to breathe through it because I'm agitated.
LeBlanc.
I think it goes back to what you said previously about
Tevin better get out
about
my
the staff or administration just adultifying our kids.
Yeah.
They just see them. Even my brother has gotten in trouble and they'll call my mom and tell him that, oh, the 5th and 6th graders are, being disruptive and stuff. He's in 4th grade. He's a big kid for his size, but he's in 4th grade and they always mistake him as a 5th and 6th grader. And that's just, I think it's true across the board of middle school, high school. We never get the benefit of the doubt of they're just kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And shout out to Rodney Polly. He's also in the chat. Philadelphia, Dallas is in the building. Yeah. And I think that is the psychology. They don't think they can manage us. Let's be very, very clear. They can't manage us physically, but they can with the paper and the pen.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? We don't understand that one, we're sending our babies into hostile education environments and expecting them to exist and to cope and to be able to deal with these manic freaking adults who have been taught that they can do whatever it is that they want to do as long as they do it to us. Because 9 times out of 10, we're not at the school board meetings. We'll show up to your campus and cuss you completely out. But then after we do that big emotional response, there's really no follow-up. And they've learned that about our people. You know what I mean? If they would just leave us alone, we'd be fine. They won't leave us alone because if we had an opportunity, we may surpass them in many, many areas, right? And so knowing that, we have to move accordingly. I'm a proponent of taking our babies out of these schools. I am. But there are some parents who don't have the resources to do that. So they leave them in these things. That's what keeps us busy. Shout out to y'all because you allow us to get grant money to come in and help you for free. So we appreciate that. But we have to understand where our families are. We have to understand where our families are. Some of them have been dealing with educational systems for a very long time, and they've never gotten the support they need to be successful. And so then they come and find somebody like us.
Yeah.
So, Quinessa, for the people who don't know what we do, what do you think, or what would you tell them is the benefit of having an advocate?
I would say having an advocate is like,
and you know,
it's
we
like
on
having
a podcast.
It's like I'm trying to find the word.
No,
It's
I get
like
it.
having that, like a best friend that will ride for you, but
Yeah.
in the schools.
Yeah. And we come in swinging.
Yes, we come in
come
hot
deep.
every time.
We come deep too.
Who are you calling Q-Tip? Wait a minute. What is going on in the chat today? Who is Q-Tip?
They having their own.
Oh, you Q-Tip.
I guess.
Oh, I'm like, who is
Quinessa?
Q-Tip? Anyway, Adrian, the benefit of having an advocate.
I think it's just someone to have next to you, and usually when we're advocating for people, they're kind of emotional. So having us there, knowing information and trying to do our best to gain facts, it makes their process easier because most of the time they're going through a lot.
And also, I mean, we're less because we don't know as much, but
Seasoned.
like, yes,
it's all good.
but having Lorene as an advocate specifically is having someone who knows the systems that they're involved in that the parents don't know
inside and out.
So now you have someone who knows what you don't know to be able to ask the questions that you wouldn't think to ask.
And the thing is, they always ask me, "Are you sure you're not a lawyer?" If I was a lawyer, the school districts would not talk back to me because they know I'd sue they behinds, right? So there's a benefit with having an advocate because I pose I'm gonna say it like this: I pose no real threat, right? In terms of being able to file lawsuits. The threat that I do pose is that I will undress you in front of your staff and make you look really silly and still fix the issue for the children and their families, right? And that's no shade or anything like that. It's just I'm very good at what I've learned to do, right? And so that's why I'm training y'all, hopefully, because I can't be everywhere. But Keela and Anaya, I want you to think about this because you're going to come after Keela. When people are experiencing kind of the most horrendous things in their lives, right? How big is it to have support outside of maybe the traditional areas?
I think it's big because like your parents or like anybody in your corner in that sense is biased. So like if you have somebody on the outside, obviously they're going to get the facts. They're going to know what's really going on. And on top of that, they're going to really try to benefit in your situation because they're from the outside in.
Anaya.
I would agree. And I think that having someone advocate for you kind of in any situation, you really need those aside of friends because I feel like it's just a different relationship. You know, someone's going to have your back. They're not going to necessarily have their own opinions on the situation. They're just going to be there for you. And I think it's good to get out of that, like Keela said, your general circle of people, because it might be easier to talk to someone who you only come to for advice or come because I need you to help me with something.
Yeah. And Sherman, how did it make you feel when you showed up to the district office and you said we're from Black Youth Leadership Project and they just like, oh, you should have said that?
I was like, oh. I felt
okay.
Kind of like, I don't know, like powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that ironic?
Amen. And I just want to acknowledge the comment that was in the chat while you were speaking. It says school systems are funded by having our students in their schools. That's called ADA, average daily attendance. They get money for your babies in these schools. But there is not an intentional approach to advocate and protect students that look like us. And let me tell you why. Aside from the average daily attendance, they get the property taxes. Many of our people don't own homes. So they pick and choose to figure out, well, I can treat them like that. They don't own the homes around here anyway. And they also divvy up those property taxes and they go to the schools that don't really need it. They don't put it to the schools who really have the need for it. There is no equity in funding, no equity in the way in which they advocate for students. And there is no way in hell that they would allow a white child to be treated like that black child was and snatched up by his neck because they know there would be repercussions coming. That's why we're here to advocate for us, Rodney. We don't need nobody else.
The cop even said, yeah, like, because she asked, how would you feel if this was your kid? And she was like, do you have kids? He was like, yeah. And she was like, how would you feel? And he was like, I'd be mad. I'd be mad, probably more mad than you.
But told her to calm down.
Well, I mean, but he has a gun. Like, he has different things at his disposal that he can enact, right? So you're talking to a mama who doesn't have the social standing as you, does not have the badge, the gun, the baton, the taser, the whatever else you got at your disposal. You telling her to calm down while y'all be fearful and will shoot before you ask questions. Like, let's keep it a buck. Melissa, because I'm about to be mad. Go ahead.
Like, I agree with what you said 100%, and want to go back to one of the questions you asked about like having an advocate. I feel like everyone's a protected safe space, and I feel like that's kind of what BYLP provides, like having people who are, like everyone has said, like are in your corner and you know you can come to them like without judgment. I feel like everyone needs an advocate, even the advocates. I feel like having a protected safe space is very important.
Facts. And I just want to put this out there. As soon as I got up this morning, I got a phone call, right? And I came into the office and I said, hey, Cornessa, we need to make this phone call because I already got a parent who's in crisis. We waited for the rest of the advocate team to get here. At that time, it was Adrian, Lisa, Cornessa, and Sherman. And I made the phone call to the parent. She was distraught. At her wit's end. We got a baby in our office right now. We just went and picked him up and brought him here. Because sometimes our people don't know where to turn without that judgment, without having some authorities called on them. Sometimes we just need a break, right? And I'm just like, I don't know who else does that like that. Yeah. Like, just get first of all, shout out to that mama, because she didn't have to trust us with her baby. But she knew that she wasn't in the right headspace to be able to deal with him in that moment. She's overwhelmed, right? She's tired. Neither of them had eaten since last night, right? And so I don't say that to brag. I say that we are people. We need a place for our babies to go when we sometimes just need a break. Yeah. And we don't know how to advocate for them, how to advocate for ourselves. The one thing that she said that stuck out to me is she was contemplating suicide. What? Because nobody's helping. But we send them to these school environments. We send them and try to hook in with all these different support programs. And now I'm like, if we don't do something in this moment, we could have a tragedy on our hands. So we just rolled out and went and picked him up, and he's here right now. Let him. Watching YouTube. Put on some church for him in a minute.
But I think it's sad too, because like I just met him today. We all met him today, right? And then he told me his name, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, Sherman's my cousin," and I really believed him. Like, he really played me, and I was just like, "That's crazy." And then like even just me talking to him, just getting to know him, like he was just smiling. And then it just like, yeah, it's a lot. But it's just like you could literally just talk to these kids. Like you could just feel everything that they're going through. And then it's just crazy how you can just have this simple conversation with somebody, anybody. And then they're just like, oh, okay, like I'm good.
Yeah. And sometimes our families need that from us.
Yeah.
And as much as it's emotionally taxing, draining, and whatnot, we have an obligation to stand in the gap for people who can't do it for themselves. That's what advocacy is about. It's about showing up when people need you the most so that you can devise a plan to help them move forward. We're not trying to take nobody's place as parents. Because I'll send your kids back home. I love the kids, but they got to come back home. But at the end of the day, it's really stopping and showing people that they are important, and that they matter. And that you hear them, you see them. We were able to feed the baby, right? Tell her, you know what? We're going to take them with us. She said, okay. And so we have custody of a 12-year-old right now that we just met this morning. And your cousin, yeah, he done got adopted. I believe he really wants some of that male attention. He wants a big brother, father figure, uncle type of attention. And I did not see any of those behaviors that we were told about. I ain't seen them yet, but it's the honeymoon stage. And sometimes kids act out, when they got to test your gangster to see how real you are, before they know, okay, I can trust them. I'm in a safe spot. And so shout out to that mama who knew that she was at her wit's end and saw us as people who were capable of providing the care that her kid would need until she was in a better place. So shout out to her. So I also sent another story in the chat. And again, I said this episode is called Let's Talk About It. If I did not introduce myself at the top, which I don't think I did.
You did.
My name is Miss Lorene and I'm the captain of this particular ship. And in the chat, I sent I'll save the teacher one for last because that, okay. But yesterday I sent a story, a 5-year-old on a school campus in, where was that?
Fairfield.
In Fairfield. 5-year-old had a jump rope tied around his neck. And to be fair, this was not a black child, right? I don't know what he is. I think he may be white. But some older students decide to wrap a rope around his neck like 2 or 3 times.
How old was the little kid?
5. And the campus didn't know nothing about it. And they said they're looking at it they'll look into the situation. I'm trying to figure out how you don't know when older kids are in contact with the younger babies and where the person was that was supposed to be watching them. I keep trying to understand what's going on with that. Who's supposed to be watching these kids while they're out at recess, to the point where we're allowing folks to just wrap things around people's necks, and send them on home like did nothing happen.
They be on their phones.
Who be on their phone? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's shady. There are some people that be on the phones. But what are y'all thinking about this? Like 5 years old, a rope around his neck. What say you, Melissa? Where's that statement?
I feel like that truly goes to show, the kid wasn't black, that the education system in its entirety is just messed up. Like that while there's no protection, especially for black students, and in cases there isn't protection for other students too, because they're just seen as dollar signs. Like you come to school, it doesn't matter if you leave how you came, you're here, learn, graduate, get out. And I feel like that is very true for black students, but it can also be true for other students, and that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah. And I also think that Tevin needs to come in here and fix this television, because I don't like seeing airplay behind my head. So we're going to wait for Tevin to come in here and do his thing. But it says, the comment in the chat, I think some of the educators and those that have been entrusted with the welfare of all children have become apathetic. Well, that's assuming that they were compassionate before. And they had the ability to show empathy before. I'm not sure who these jokers are nowadays that have become, and I'm sorry to use this word and y'all can write me later, they become emotionally retarded. And I'm going to just say that like that, because you should not have to teach people how to treat people like they matter, like they are human beings worthy of care, compassion, and concern. We should not have to teach adults that, especially if they've been in the school system for as long as some of these jokers have.
I agree.
Didn't nobody have to teach me to be compassionate towards people.
Come on.
Maybe that's because I'm a child of the Most High, but I'm just saying. Nobody had to teach me that. That is something that you're born with, right? Or you're not.
I want to touch on the comment that just being about a paycheck to some of them. I think that there's a lot of positions in the school system right now that don't require a lot of formal education.
Unless you're black, but go ahead.
Which I noticed after graduating and I was looking for jobs, there was a lot of educator, para-educator, like different types of positions that did not involve a lot of degrees or licenses, and so there's a lot of people who aren't fully prepared to be in those positions, and then they get the job because they need a job, and so
Or
now
they
they
get
are
the
in
job
there.
that don't nobody want.
Yeah,
Let's keep it a buck, right?
I was about to say,
Because
not even paid.
paraprofessionals are normally working with kids who have disabilities,
Special
right?
needs, yeah.
And this particular person who put his hands around the neck of a black child was a paraeducator. So then that leads me to contemplate a couple of questions. Does the child have an IEP? Was he there as the aide for that particular child? And if he was not, what was he doing coming into contact with him to try to force him to do anything? Those are my questions, and I haven't written the district yet, but I'm gonna give you a head start, because I need to understand the landscape of what it is that we're dealing with. Because if you are a para, you are normally assigned to a particular child.
Mhm.
The fact that this child did not go with him willingly lets me know that he's probably not assigned to him,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got some questions.
Which is also why the mom was mad, because she was like, why is he still here? Like, why is he still on campus? And they were kind of like defending him, saying like, we'll make sure they won't come in contact, like he won't be on the playground.
Like what?
It's like, how do you know that? Like, you can't make sure that they're not gonna come in contact.
Yeah.
It's just almost impossible.
So their response to the parent whose child had been assaulted by this adult was that they'll make sure he doesn't come into contact with the child
At recess.
at recess.
Like, okay.
So did this situation happen at just particularly at recess? It wasn't in the classroom.
They were, I believe from his story, he was coming from lunch. So like
The baby was coming from lunch.
yeah, he was coming from lunch. So lunch was wrapping up. He was going to class or whatever, and then that's when he ran into the teacher.
Now let's stop calling him a teacher. He's a paraeducator.
Paraeducator.
I saw the article written. It said parent educator. He is not a parent educator. He is a para educator. But I would love them to get some parent educators on campus. But I think those parent educators are university professors. But I don't know. And it's we need to be clear about what we're calling people. I don't like misinformation, right? And we need to be clear that it was not the person was not arrested. He was cited. He was detained, cited, and released with a promise to appear in court. Okay. Additionally, this particular person, my understanding, I don't know if they said he was taken off the campus. I don't know if they said that. I don't think I got that information. But I need it to be crystal clear. This is not the first time that we've had issues with teachers behaving, paras behaving badly on campuses. I won't even say teachers. I won't say paras, adults behaving badly against our children. And they think that because we send our children in there, that our children are unprotected. They assume that that nobody has daddies at home. And they assume that mamas is welfare queens or whatever they assign, aggressive, whatever they decide to call these parents, right? And they think that they don't have any other recourse but to listen to what it is that they're wanting them to do, right? And so at this time, the mother is requesting that the children be transferred. Do you guys agree with that decision? Yes or no? Anaya?
Transferred to another school in the district?
That's my understanding.
I mean, I guess I can say pleased that the children don't have to attend that school anymore, but I'm saddened that it came to that the victim is going to be removed instead of the paraeducator being held accountable.
Talk to him, Anaya.
The school changing instead of just, but I know like how you feel about us being in the education system in general, so I see your point with that. But you can ensure that something else is not going to happen to that child at that other school, that's really sad.
Do you agree with the children being transferred to another school?
I think they should be transferred. I don't know about staying within the district, but I definitely think moving schools is the best option, only because that could be a traumatic place for that child. and I don't want him to think every teacher that comes up to him is gonna physically assault him at that school. So wherever the child is most comfortable, I think is the best place.
Quinessa.
I do think it's best that he is removed because, again, what Adrian said is really possible, and Mom did say that he was feeling really like he needed to defend himself, and that concerns her. And I worry about retaliation from school systems when they're so adamant about defending their employees because they don't want to look bad. And if the employee was removed, I just worry about the student being retaliated against by the administration.
Melissa.
I agree with what everyone is saying. And I also wonder if he is moved or transferred to another school. A question that I kind of have is that school going to know the reason he was transferred? I feel like this is something that we've seen before when students have traumatic experiences at other schools and then they come to new schools and they act out, or that's what teachers or administration would say, that they act it out in a situation and they don't know the root cause of it. And I feel like this situation that happened at this school where an adult was physically violent with him could be the root cause of him acting out or having acting out in another situation, or what they would deem as acting out without knowing the root cause of that he has trauma and this is post-traumatic stress, and like there's something happening with him and that they're not aware of. So I feel like yes, removing him is the right situation or is the right answer, because you can't rely on the school to hold their admin accountable.
I say no.
Okay. Talk to us about this no. Come on.
Like, I agree with what everyone was saying with like the yes, but I feel like if this was my child, I don't even know.
Stand on your square. Don't be scared.
Oh, I'm not scared. Okay, sorry. But yeah, I say no because I feel like if I was a parent in this situation, I would be up in that school every day.
You got time like that?
I'll make time. Don't play with me. I will make time. Yeah, I feel like overall, just the fact that like he was victimized and everyone's just kind of brushing it off, but then it's like, okay, like I'll just remove myself from the situation. I don't agree because yes, it is a safety concern, but at the same time, like, no, you're not about to like play in my child's face without me at least defending you, doing all I can for you until you physically tell me, or you verbally tell me I can't do it anymore. So I feel like I would have to hear that from my child.
Okay, Sherman.
Okay, twin. For me, I said no too, but from a different reason. For me, I think it was just simple. It's like 4 weeks left of school. I don't really see the benefit of him transferring with 1 month to go. I don't think like that's really beneficial for the kid. But I think what needs to happen is that the teacher, the paraeducator, needs to be off the campus completely. But yeah.
So those ideologies are the things that I combat most with parents. Let me tell you something. Number one, I don't negotiate with terrorists. And on those school campuses, when they harm our children, they are no better than terrorists. The issue is not only this particular incident, there have been other things that have happened where it's been explained that this child was being sent into a racially hostile environment. Okay. I don't think our children have to survive school.
Yeah.
I don't care how much time is left. My job as a parent is to make sure I protect my child, period. I don't give a damn about that school. I don't care about no paraprofessional. I don't care about no administrators. My focus is always going to be on my child, right? The other issue with that is not just the paraprofessional. It's the inaction of the VP and the principal when they didn't even want to make the child available so the mama could see him in the first place. I can't trust you. So no, I ain't leaving my baby there. And we could argue about that. I ain't doing it. I don't care I don't care if my kids say, I want to stay. They a child. I am the adult. I am going to make the decision for them. They don't get to dictate that because they're kids. They don't know no better. So we have to do better in protecting our children. We were just on an IEP not even 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I don't have time for these people. Look, I don't know why the kid is still there. I told him in front of the mama, I don't know. Why is the kid still there? If you keep telling me that this dang environment is causing my child to have PTSD, there's no way in hell I'm keeping my kid on that campus. And they could fight me for that. Can't do it. So what's your question?
If he transfers to another school, does that school lose money for him? Like, does it become like an unexcused absence, or like how does that work?
The ADA just goes to the new campus. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the end of the year, but many of these schools out here in Elk Grove are year round.
Yeah,
so it may not
track system.
Yeah, so it may not have. I don't know this particular campus. I don't know the scheduling of it or whatever. But that cannot be your reason to keep them in an environment that has now proven to you to be unsafe. And the law says if they can't guarantee the safety of your child, you don't have to send them back until they can guarantee it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the track system part.
I was gonna say, I feel like I just pulled my kid out.
Oh, you pulling them out now?
But I'm saying, like, I wouldn't transfer. Like, that's my whole, like, I don't know. I feel like I just wouldn't transfer. I don't know. I think I don't have a child, so I really don't know how to really feel. But like, I just feel like you're like giving up your power in a sense on doing that. But at the same time, I feel like that is your power taking them out.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'd agree with you. I wouldn't keep them in Elk Grove. I'd switch them to a whole different district. If we got to drive 30 minutes, that's what we're doing.
Or I'm just going to homeschool them for the rest of the year and then figure it out.
I was going to say same thing with, like, you know how you just asked me, like, you have time. So then it's like, if you don't have time, like, it really depends on the parent.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the problems that our families have.
Yeah.
Right. The options are not always available to us. We go from bad to worse, just trying to escape an environment. Right. When all of these environments, any school in Elk Grove, I would put my eyes on it. They number one in the state for disproportionate discipline. Number one in the state. How you do that? And you don't even have you don't even have as many students as not Elk Grove, Los Angeles Unified. They have 1 million students. You got 66,000 plus students, and you number one in the state. How that work? The math ain't mathing. Y'all just don't want them there. Like be honest. Like, at least I could get with somebody if they could be honest about what it is that we're looking at. If you just don't want them there, and I'm not talking about on your little basketball teams or your little football teams when you seem to like them a lot. I'm talking about as students worthy of care, compassion, concern, opportunities, honors in all them other classes, or what are them things called? The academies that you've been keeping them out of. I'm talking about giving them access to everybody, to the same stuff that everybody else got. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know about all this other stuff. What is it? Future Farmers of America? I want to see some more of our kids involved in that. Like, come on. It's like exclusive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some things that are just exclusive to certain communities, right? They don't share the information, but you show like them on your basketball teams and, winning you accolades in a newspaper, but you won't take care of them. Gets on my nerves. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. What Ms. Tawana say? Ain't no way I'm going to send my kid to a space where they have been harmed. That's right. Come on, mama. We can't compute that. Our brain shuts off. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We ain't doing that. The last story that we have that we're going to talk about really, really quickly, because we're running out of time because y'all talk a lot. Or maybe that's just me. This last one, there was a teacher, I believe is in Las Vegas. The little kid, non-Black kid, I believe it was a little Latino kid, decided to refer to this substitute teacher who happened to be Black as the N-word. And we've been having that discussion on the N-word a lot. And he basically knocked his block off during lunch or something. And I don't say that to be funny. I'm just saying, just looking at the video, he hit him pretty hard. It says Las Vegas substitute teacher arrested after fighting a student who allegedly called him the N-word. Raquan Smith was recorded punching a student during a cafeteria fight at Valley High School in East Las Vegas. Police arrested both the student and the teacher. Now, that's interesting. They arrested the student too. Smith now faces a litany of criminal charges, including battery resulting in serious bodily harm, assaulting a school pupil on school property. Sorry. I'm not laughing at him. I'm just like the laws they put on these books. Assaulting a school pupil on school property. That's interesting. Threatening to do bodily harm to a public school student. That's a thing. And interfering with a student from attending school, according to court records. And I'm assuming that's because he knocked him out and he couldn't go to class. So, I mean, we've been having this discussion around the N-word. And I generally feel like, if people decide they want to use that word and everybody got freedom of speech, you do not have freedom of consequences. And sometimes you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Do you think it's appropriate? And I already know the answer. Do you think it's inappropriate? Is it appropriate to have an adult act that way towards a student? Sherman.
No, I don't. The answer is no.
Okay. Talk to us.
I don't think any adult should put their hands on a kid. It's a power struggle there, and the adult is aware of that. So I don't think any adult should put their hands on any kid, regardless of what they said or not.
Keela?
I plead the fifth right now.
Okay. Melissa?
No, it's appropriate for you to hit someone, especially like someone was saying, power imbalance, because that's an adult and that's a student. But at this, like, we've been taught from literally the first grade, keep your hands to yourself. But we've also been taught treat people how you're treated. So like, don't talk to people the way that you don't want to be talked to. And also with all of like the charges and things that you were listing off, what's the difference between this situation and the situation with the paraeducator putting their hands on the third grader? Right. I don't know what the difference is.
The difference is this teacher was black.
Yeah, that's literally the only difference. It's insane.
I mean, it's just, Adrian. Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate, Adrian?
I don't think it's appropriate, but do I care that he did? No. But I could see why we don't want our teachers fighting kids, especially our black ones, because we know how that's going to look. And they already have the stigma of we're very aggressive and we flip off a switch as soon as we hear the word. And so I don't like that he did it, and do I feel bad for the student that he got knocked out by the teacher? No.
Okay. And I just want to be clear, and Anaya, I haven't heard from you, and I'm going to go to you next. But I'm looking at this video that is circulating on social media, and it looks like the student swung on him first.
Yep.
And so could an argument be made that he was defending himself? And I'm only bringing that up because we have seen multiple instances. Like last week, I believe I saw a teacher sitting in her chair and this student repeatedly slapped her in her face. And she did nothing, right? I'm not sure that she shouldn't have done nothing to protect herself, right? And so I'm looking at this video and this kid is advancing towards him. He swung. I don't know. The teacher's shirt looks like it was ripped of some sort. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if there was a tussle before this video came on. But does that excuse his behavior, Anaya, even if the kid hit at him first?
Can I answer the other question?
Sure. Answer whatever question you want to.
I would say that generally speaking, it is wrong for adults to put hands on children, especially in schools. However, I do feel like I have bias just knowing the context. And then it was really interesting because when the kid got up, he was like, "You're going to jail," and then said the N-word again. Like,
Yeah.
So that's I was like, okay, maybe he didn't have to get
He
like
didn't learn his lesson.
Exactly. And I do think I have less compassion only because it's like this black man is getting hit with this, and that. And it's like, what about these white people? To answer the second, you come back to me, please. Actually,
I'm gonna go to Keela because she played the fifth on the first one.
Gotta go. Quinessa didn't go.
Okay, Quinessa,
I think
you didn't go.
Said she didn't go either.
But I pled the fifth until everybody spoke.
She passing the buck. You see her?
I feel like now that, because I didn't watch the video, I was doing other stuff, but now that I know that the kid swung on him and then said it again, I feel like there could be a case made for self-defense and for a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
So I can confidently say I'm on the teacher side at this point.
And he get up crying. Like, I mean, I don't know. So I'm never going to get on here and say that it's okay for a grown man to do what this teacher did. I'm never going to say that because if it would have happened here, I know what type of advocate I would have been for this particular situation. Or if the teacher would have called me and he was in this situation, I know what type of advocate I would have been for that particular situation too. So I'm never going to say it's okay for an adult to put on his hands on a child. However, I've seen many white male teachers put their hands on the student and the student be charged with bodily injury to a staff person.
Mm.
It wasn't this litany of charges for the teacher. It was all levied towards the black male student. And they like to say that our boys can absorb punches better. They don't feel pain like other students do, that they're aggressive, right? And so there is always a want or a desire for the system to make it seem like there's something our children did to deserve it. Now, when it's flipped, the student didn't deserve that, right? And if you read the comments, some of the comments are really funny because there's some parents who say, well, if my child used that type of language, what did they say, Keela? Because you was looking at it. Pull it up. Since you don't want to talk on it, you're going to read.
No, I'm going to speak now.
Okay.
I need to hear everybody's answers. So I'm going to read the comments. The first one is the teacher needs to be rehired full time. Teach your kids to be respectful. These kids going to find out that everybody ain't playing their reindeer games. Someone put, why? Free the teacher. Kids straight up deserved it. I'm sorry, but as a parent myself, I found that my child was out of line and said some things like this. And I tell him that's what your gets and would not press charges. These kids need to learn there are consequences to their actions.
So now, just a real quick question for y'all. Do you think that he had enough consequences? Because my understanding is he was arrested too. Do you think the child continues to need to be held accountable?
Was he detained or was he just arrested?
It said arrested. Both teacher and the student were arrested. But it did not say the charges that the kid is facing. And I'm assuming that's because he's a minor. And they won't always list the charges for a minor. But they did tell you that the teacher was arrested for a litany of criminal charges. What's the question? Because your
wait, repeat your question one more time.
I don't even remember what my question was.
Do you think he got enough consequences, or does he deserve more?
Unless I know what his charges were, and unless one of those charges is being charged with a hate crime, I don't think he's got enough.
Okay,
I agree. We don't know what the minor's charges is, so it's hard to say if it was justified or not. But I'm with Quinessa.
Yeah, I also agree. But I want to go back to where I pled the fifth and rebuke it.
You rebuking the fifth? I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing now. It's your girl Keela. We doing whatever. But no, yeah, I definitely don't think an adult should ever put their hands on anybody. But like kind of what everybody was saying, I I mean, you played with fire and you saw what you got.
Burnt.
Burnt.
In front of all your little friends. Don't do it again.
And that's another thing that I was gonna say too.
Yeah,
like, it was in front of everybody at that. And like, come on, bro. You literally said it again. Like, you just wanted to, you like that. You like that somebody put your hand.
But that's what I was gonna say too, is that it's a trolling era, and kids, especially now, like high school, middle school, like they would
like
say
that.
they would say whatever to get a couple likes or go viral.
They feed off of it. They like, I'm telling you, like, there's literally been planned fights so people can post them and they can like it. And like, I'm not saying this is the case in that, but like, just you saw how many people reposted all that. So it's just like, you saw what you got, and then you said it again. Oh no, you wanted the work.
And you guys keep telling me that this is the generation of clout chasers.
Yes.
Generation.
So I mean, now you got the attention. What do you do with it?
They didn't think that far.
Didn't think that far. So look, y'all, we don't run out of time. We are winding down our season 5 pretty quickly here. And things are coming at us hard and fast. And I'm trying to get my mind around it. So Celebration Weekend is coming up June 21st to the 23rd. If you have not signed up as a grad or a promoter, please do that. Go to our website and click the applicable link to whether you're a promoter or you're a graduate this year. And if you are just part of the general public and you want to come celebrate the class of 2024 with us, the tickets are available now on our website through Eventbrite. So make sure you are here. We have so many wonderful things planned for you, and we can't wait to connect. So at that, we're going to sign off. We're going to hit you with the peace sign. See you here. I don't know if we're here next week because I don't think we have anybody scheduled next week. If we find something to talk about, we'll see you next Monday. If not, we'll see you the Monday after that. So we're going to hit you with the peace sign. See you soon.
Peace.
That's it.